So we've learned that in general, students are underprepared for the workforce. And, as we saw in the I Choose C video, that our standardized tests have killed independent and critical thinking. Why is this? According to the Changing Education Paradigm video for the week, Sirkin Robinson says that essentially our unchanged approach since the 1800s to how we structure classrooms and learning has resulted in a manufacturing of children, stifling divergent thinking, and putting kids to sleep when we should be waking them up. Test scores show this to be true. For the last decade, the federal No Child Left Behind Act set annual targets for schools that were intended to ultimately ensure that by 2014, every child in America could perform at a proficient level in academics. While the intent may have been good, the result was that the targets resulted in a policy that essentially labeled the vast majority of schools as failures. This was especially true for schools with high populations of socioeconomically disadvantaged students and English language learners, like thousands of schools in California. In California, therefore, with federal targets at 89% by 2014, No Child Left Behind left millions of children behind. As this table shows, only about 60% of children ever made the targets for ELA or math. And among socioeconomically disadvantaged students and English language learners, this percentage was closer to 45%. In addition to the final and unrealistic target of 90% proficiency, there was no standard articulation of what it meant to be proficient. Each state had their own definition and their own assessments, meaning being proficient in one state did not necessarily mean you were proficient in another state. Yet all schools were still judged by the same term and risked punitive sanctions if they did not meet the proficiency target, even if they made significant gains. Even on international assessments, 15-year-olds have not demonstrated any significant progress. For example, on the Program for International Student Assessment, there has been no change since 2000 in reading, 2003 in math, and 2006 in science. U.S. students have done particularly bad in areas requiring complex thinking, including solving real-world problems. This is unacceptable and has been a call to action. Beginning in 2007-2008, the National Governors Association and the Chief Council of Chief State School Officers all agreed that something had to change. They aimed to foster the ability for students to think critically across content domains and to apply that knowledge to solve problems using 21st century skills in communicating, creating, collaborating, critical thinking, and community engagement. Most states have adopted these standards, which has meant massive retraining of all teachers for the new approach that Common Core takes in preparing students to think differently about the core content they are learning. In addition to much more hands-on, minds-on learning, Common Core integrates online assessments that require students to demonstrate the ability to not only use technology, but to also seek and apply knowledge, not just recall it. 2014 was the first year that the assessments were administered in California. Results will be out any day. Check out this week's 3-minute animated video on Common Core to learn more, and then go to the Common Core website link to find out if your state has adopted Common Core state standards.